All right, we're live. Boilermaker fans, welcome into the channel. I am your host, Big Time Boiler. Purdue is coming off a thrilling, yet nerve-wracking, once again, win 43-37 against Nebraska Cornhuskers. Excuse me. Co-host Chaffee T is not. I said Chaffee T. That's not his name anymore. Just Falcon. My brother Cole will not be joining us tonight. He is actually in the hospital with his wife, who just gave birth to a baby son. So he's a little preoccupied, so he will not be here. So it's just going to be me. You guys are stuck with me today. Like always, this is the fourth installment of this show. If you'd like to join the show and get on and talk Purdue football, go ahead and click the link that is in the channel. The comment section, and I will also put it in the description of the video. Just maybe wait just a minute for people to get on. I think the last couple of shows, obviously last show we kept it kind of brief. I'll get to fix these headphones real quick. There we go. That's better. Sorry. We haven't really didn't get a whole lot of participation last week, although we went pretty short. A lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about obviously the game, how it went against the Cornhuskers, and also do a quick little preview of the upcoming Wisconsin game. So again, if you want to join the podcast, go to the link that is in the description of the video or the comment section of the video, and you can click on it. You can either use your cell phone and treat it as a phone call, or you can treat it like a Zoom call and do with the webcam. So I don't know if anyone's actually watching right now, so that's okay. We'll kind of hang out and wait for some people before I get too into it. All right, set it up here. So I'm actually coming to you from Omaha, Nebraska right now. It's been kind of cool. I actually drove up here last night for work. Got up here this morning, have the Purdue license plate, have the Purdue shirts on, getting a lot of dirty looks. I love it. All right. But yeah, let's talk Nebraska game. Purdue came out. I thought Purdue would actually have a pretty good offensive performance based off the Nebraska defense. It's not been lights out all year. They did that. Was their most complete offensive game to date. Devin Lockaby, who we've been talking about quite a bit on this channel, exploded for 178 yards. I think 5.9 yards carry, I want to say it was. Get my old stats up here. Yeah, 5.9 yards a carry. I think he had 30 touches, which has to be obviously it's his career high, but I wonder when the last time a Purdue running back got 30 touches. It's quite a bit. So Devin on the year now is 80 touches, 453 yards with a 5.7 average for yards per carry, with obviously a long of 68 and 5 touchdowns. So he is now ahead of Dylan Downing by over 200 yards. Charlie Jones had a nice game. I think he had 132 yards, something around there, 2 touchdowns. He is now on the year, has 735 yards and 9 touchdowns. If you all remember, if you've been following this podcast for a little bit now, I actually predicted Charlie Jones would have, I kept saying 700 yards receiving, 7 touchdowns. He's obviously blown that number out of the water already. And we have 5 more games to go, plus bowl game, and who knows, hopefully Indy. Ted, what's going on? Boiler up. Do you think our defense will be exploited again like they were against Nebraska? Well, Purdue has obviously had somewhat of a problem all year about getting beat with the deep ball. And actually, if you kind of go back and look at it, Indiana State even did that a few times against us. I want to say they hit 2 or 3 long balls against, I think 2 of them were against Corey Trice. They got them down the field near the goal line. We just so happen to have goal line stands, and a team that can throw the ball deep against us could be problematic, but we'll kind of go over that here in a little bit when we talk about Wisconsin. But one thing I like to do, obviously, so I drove, again, I'm in Omaha, Nebraska this week. I drove the 9-hour trip in 2 installments. But what I like to do is I like to watch podcasts like this one, and did a bunch of Nebraska reactions. Probably watched a couple of those. Those were pretty entertaining. They were actually pretty well done by the Nebraska folk. I think they were complimentary of Purdue, and especially Aiden O'Connell realized that he's an absolute stud quarterback. Obviously, there's some that are pretty homerism, but they didn't blame the refs, they didn't blame anything. But they thought another 1-score game. And I honestly, hats off to Nebraska. I think they played a pretty good game. The defense obviously did not, but the offense exploited something they saw in the Purdue defense and put up some yards. So hopefully, that gives them some confidence going forward, because we all, even though if we don't, I think we all dislike Nebraska with a passion, we better become Nebraska fans here in 2 weeks, because that Illinois game that Nebraska plays, I can't remember what time it is, but it's at Nebraska. That is a big time game that we need Nebraska to pull off. And I think they should be pretty motivated. I think this Purdue game, plus winning two of the previous 3 games, gives them some confidence. They probably feel like, they had the Purdue game. If they would have got the ball back, they probably would have won. And having said all that, Mickey Joseph is going to have those guys fired up, because if Nebraska loses to Illinois, I don't see Mickey getting that job. Nebraska is just the worst example. I don't think Wisconsin will just blow the top off of our defense. Yeah, I think you're right, Ted. I don't think a lot of guys do have the ability. Looking ahead, though, I will say, Graham Mertz is pretty an intriguing quarterback in the fact that he gets a lot of hate, obviously, for good reason. He's I think he was a 5-star quarterback. Supposedly, the highest recruit, maybe the highest recruit ever that Wisconsin's ever gotten, not just a quarterback, but I think maybe that could be incorrect, but he 100% was the highest recruited quarterback they've ever landed. But I want to say he might have been even the highest overall recruit. But he, against Northwestern, granted, that was a terrible Northwestern team. He put up some numbers. I actually watched the highlights of that game yesterday, and he 5 touchdowns. Threw the ball downfield quite a bit, actually. And, with what they saw in this Purdue-Nebraska game, it's hard to, say that they might not, exploit that like you were saying again. But what's weird is, and I listened to another podcast, Locked On, if you heard of the Locked On Network, but it's a kind of a network that, does YouTube podcasts it's kind of a franchise, if you will. And Wisconsin has one. The guy's actually pretty good. But I was watching their reaction show and after the Michigan State game, and kind of a call-in show like this with a lot of participation and guys kind of venting. But man, they are not high on their Wisconsin Badgers right now. And what they were saying is and I didn't watch this Michigan State Wisconsin game, I just saw the highlights. They were saying that Wisconsin pretty much ran out with a completely different game plan on offense than they had against Northwestern, and they completely kind of reverted back to the Paul Chryst ways when they were doing some RPO against Northwestern, I guess, throwing the ball downfield. They completely reverted back, which is very weird because Michigan State, has one of the worst pass defenses in the entire country, not just the Big Ten, the entire country. And I think Graham Mertz only threw for like 120 or 50 yards against those guys. So that's kind of bizarre. And actually, Wisconsin just had a transfer I saw last night going to the portal. I think he was like their 4th or 5th wide receiver, but he had a touchdown against Northwestern. I don't know. I mean, was that a product of Michigan State being bad or Wisconsin being good? That's a great question. Michigan State, I don't think is a very good team. I don't think here's with Wisconsin. God, I can't talk tonight. Wisconsin. The big difference here is their offensive line, much like Iowa's offensive line this year, has not developed the way they thought it would. And actually, I think, there's a bunch of 4-stars in that Wisconsin offensive line. But that's one of the podcasts that Wisconsin guys were saying is this Wisconsin offensive line is not producing. The defensive line is not producing. And this might be the first time ever Purdue actually has, in a long, long time, that Purdue actually has the advantage on the offensive and defensive line. Hey, we got our friend. Speaking of the Iowa offensive line, Hawkeye of the Storm is in the comments section. Good luck to your Hawkeyes this weekend. Okay, Corey, you guys, you're gonna need it against Ohio State. Man, that's gonna be a tough one. Best of luck to you all, but hopefully it doesn't get too out of control. I am very interested to see how that Iowa defense does against those Buckeyes, because that Iowa defense is legit. And if you guys just had a somewhat mediocre offense, I would, I'd probably put Iowa as the favorites in the West, but they don't. Kirk Ferentz and company did not do their due diligence and did not land a quarterback. You know who would have been now that you're here, Corey, I don't know if I said this on your show before or not, but if you are still here or not, but if Iowa would have landed Jack Plummer, I think he would have been the perfect fit. At least the guy they maybe could have got. He's out in California. I've actually not checked on how Jack's been doing the last couple of games, but he would have been a tremendous upgrade over Petrus. And he's also a guy that doesn't, Jack's a good guy, pretty good quarterback, but he doesn't like to take risks of any kind. It seems like he almost plays it way too safe. In fact, I think his interception numbers are pretty. Last I saw for even California, he's like only throwing one. Last year for Purdue, he threw 0 and like 7 or 8 touchdowns. So he would have been the perfect guy for that. But anyway, Ted, back to your comment. Michigan State being bad or Wisconsin being good. Wisconsin, again, they're not 3 and 4. Yeah, they're 3 and 4. Wisconsin's 3 and 4. But if you look at the ESPN, and I'm not a huge ESPN fan, but I have their ESPN Plus or whatever. They have this thing, if you're on the ESPN Plus, they have a matchup predictor going off of ESPN Analytics. And they actually have Wisconsin at 57.8% favorite over Purdue at 42.2%. And the team rankings in there, I think it's their ESPN rankings, team rankings based off analytics. They have Purdue around 24.1 and Wisconsin 2 spots behind them at 26.7. And their spread pick is Wisconsin 2.5, which I was a little surprised on that line. Well, I shouldn't say I was surprised. Tom Dienhart thought like Wisconsin would have a 7, a line of 7, which, I did not see that. I thought this would probably be pretty close to a pick'em game, until Purdue actually go there and actually win, which they haven't done since 2003. I think we've said this on video before multiple times that we'll chalk this one up as a loss until we actually get the win. Yeah, there you go. Plummer at California, 61% completion, 1,500 yards passing, 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Yeah, I think you guys could have used him. I mean, he would have been an upgrade over Petrus for sure. And us Purdue fans know, we've had some weird quarterback controversies, if you will, especially when we had Danny Hope, when Robert Marv was clearly the better quarterback than Caleb Terbush, and Danny Hope kept sending out Terbush for some reason instead of Marv, and that cost him the Notre Dame game. But at least Danny Hope actually tried to play 2 quarterbacks. And Ferentz, man, it's unbelievable how they won't even give Alex Padilla a chance. I mean, just insane. Ted, I'm not exactly sure how these ESPN pick center data goes through. I think it's just based off all of analytics. I don't think it has anything to do with preseason rankings, which again is surprising. Wisconsin's 3 and 4, 1 and 3 in the conference. For them to be that high is, I mean, obviously the stats, the computers must like them, and to be favored over Purdue. Purdue, obviously, though, I mean, we've said this multiple times now. We were looking for them for the offense to take a step forward, play a complete game, score some touchdowns, and honestly, it's hard to get too mad at the defense when they've pretty much saved our bacon quite a few times this season so far. In the offense, we've talked about it multiple times now. We've been wanting the offense to step on the throat of the opponent, and they haven't done it. They did, though. I mean, this really. Saturday, they did their job. They pretty much scored. I mean, they won the time of possession like 42 minutes to 18, which is insanity. I don't know if I've ever seen a Purdue game where we have the ball for 42 minutes and call 101 plays. I mean, that's crazy. But the defense, Typical Purdue fashion, we had some offensive issues. We got them ironed out, but then the defense took a step back in the secondary. So, one day here, Purdue will play a complete game. Maybe we're saving it up, but we're going to need a complete game against Wisconsin, who, only returned 3 starters on the defensive unit from last year. And that defense is really, I don't want to say so much struggling, but they are not the same Wisconsin defense that we are used to seeing, especially in the secondary. They have a lot of issues back there. Michigan State was able to exploit it. Hopefully, Purdue should be able to do that as well. And again, I'm not a huge Wisconsin expert. Used to watch a lot more Big Ten football in my bachelor days, and now I just kind of watch highlights and keep tabs on with Yahoo, the sports app, and as the day goes along, and pretty much just watch the Purdue game and try to watch games here and there where I can, but I follow up on it. But I saw that I'm gonna forget his name, the backup running back from Wisconsin that transferred from Clemson was hurt against Michigan State, and I'm not exactly sure how serious that injury is. Purdue, health-wise, really missed Chris Jefferson. I don't know the exact details of why he's out besides from what he posted on Twitter. Apparently it wasn't injury-related, and it was not a suspension. It was more of a mental health break. And from what Brom said in the press conference today, that Chris Jefferson will be back when he wants to be back. So is that this week? Is that, after the bye week? Who knows? We definitely need him back, though. That would definitely help. But anyway, once again, if you guys want to, see, we have some more people on board now. If you guys want to join and talk Purdue sports, Purdue football, hop on the Streamyard. Link is in the description of the video. It's also in the comment section. You just click on it. It's kind of like a Zoom call. You don't have to actually have the video on. You can just talk in your microphone, your earphones, or you can, I believe, just use your cell phone and treat it like a phone call. So if you guys want to jump in, talk Purdue football, feel free, because otherwise it's just going to be me talking all night. And I'm in sales. My voice is already I talk all day. So I'd love to hear somebody else talk. So feel free to jump on, anybody. But I guess with that, we'll kind of talk more about this Nebraska game. Again, props to Nebraska. This is a team that could have quit, a while ago, but two good wins, or I guess decent wins against, IU and Rutgers. And then they played, down 17 against Purdue, man. They just want to go away. They got that field goal late in the half, which again, Purdue gives up a late second half first half score. Purdue has to lead the country in that category. Even that, they had a big play at the very, very end of the first quarter. When it comes down to under 2 minutes in any quarter, Purdue has to be the worst team probably in the country at giving up points, it seems like. But sorry, I just lost my train of thought there. But yeah, props to them. They fought hard. They got it, man. And then when we missed that extra point, Nebraska was offsides, and then we decided not to snap the football, which was a mistake, and that just threw out the entire rhythm because everybody saw that it was offsides. Let him jump back onsides, and then we snapped it. Rhythm was all messed up. Finneran misses the kick. I thought, oh, here we go. We just benefited from this last week against Maryland. I thought maybe karma would come back and we had to pay up. But, man, I feel like if Nebraska would have gotten the ball back, we probably would have lost that game. You guys may disagree with me. It is Nebraska, so their luck has not exactly been great. So maybe they would have thrown up interception or something like that. But, man, it just felt like one of those games is if we get the ball back, we're going to lose this game. And I think Jeff Brom thought that way as well. And so he obviously was very aggressive with it. That fourth down call with Aiden was money. Nebraska took out 3 receivers. No call, but Aiden was able to finally scramble and get the first down. Man, Aiden is so hesitant on running. If he could just be just a little bit mobile, there's so many times where he could just run and take 3 or 4 yards. And it's not, he won't do it, but he's accurate as heck. So, I'd rather have that than a guy that can't throw and scramble, but props to Aiden on that. One thing that Jeff, again, kind of, and I don't know what your guys' thoughts on this, but Jeff Brom, once again, I think, so I'm going to be off a little bit on the sequence of what happened here, but Nebraska just used their last timeout. I think it was second down. Either second or third. Yeah, I think it was second down. Okay, it was the play I think right before Aiden threw that pass on 3rd 11 to Charlie Jones and got roughed. It was 2nd and 11, and Nebraska used it. We ran the ball on 1st down. Nebraska uses their timeout, so they're out of timeouts. And I think there's 2 minutes to go, something like that. And Purdue, instead of running the ball and obviously, making that clock go down and probably getting a yard at least or 2 or 3 yards, decides to throw it to Yassine, who granted was wide open. Perfect throw. Yassine should have caught it. But again, we're in a situation where Jeff probably just needs to run the ball. I mean, if we would have caught that pass, yeah, it would have been great. 6-yard pass would have been a very manageable 3rd down. We're not having this conversation. But again, I mean, that's you're throwing a pass. There's always the chance of it being incomplete. Batted down would be, batted down. Again, just run the ball. I'd like to see Jeff run the ball a little bit more, especially with the way Maccabee's running the ball. You got to milk that clock. So curious what you guys' thoughts are on that. If you had a ratio of the issues with our pass D, how much is it talent versus coaching? Posted this after the game. Save Hagan, our offense better than defense. That's a good question. Man, I would love to. I would love to. I don't know if I have the time exactly, but I would love, if not me, if somebody takes a deep dive on our last year's defensive passing numbers versus this year so far. It seemed like last year the unit was really well coached. I don't remember us getting beat deep quite, very often. And I could be completely wrong about that, but I think they're pretty well coached. And we only had like 2 corners the whole entire year. Trice got hurt early, and it was basically Mackey and Brown. That was it. We had like no depth. And then Jefferson played the nickel with Marvin Grant and Cam Allen. I really thought there was the guy I really didn't want to lose, and it wasn't so much Brad Lambert, though I wish we would have had Brad Lambert back, was Adams. I thought Adams, Coach Adams, I can't remember his first name, did an absolute incredible job with the cornerbacks last year. They are well coached. They actually were taught to look for the ball, which was like the first time Purdue DBs have actually looked for the ball in like 20-something years. So I thought that was actually a pretty big loss when he followed Brad to Wake Forest, which is where he's from. And I'm going to mispronounce his name. I think Ubudi or something like that. Is our new DB coach, who's pretty young still. I think he's, late 30s, who played for the Bills. It was at Youngstown State, I want to say. So far, I don't know. Want to throw him under the bus, and I don't know if I can even blame him. But something is missing back there in the secondary. Then it needs to be fixed ASAP. Because teams are going to exploit it. And a team like Wisconsin, which terrifies me, again, Graham Mertz, very hated on quarterback, 5-star prospect. Expectations were through the roof for him. He's been a very, big disappointment. Having said that, he's had a few good games where, again, Northwestern game, he threw 5 touchdowns. I want to say the first game he actually played in the COVID year against Illinois, he had a really good game. I think he had 5 touchdowns. Which, that was his first game. I'm like, all right, this guy's legit. And then he just he just fell off a cliff after that. He's capable. What scares me is with a team like Wisconsin, they might play action pass us to death. And hopefully, the defenses will be ready for it. And it looked like they have some decent receivers too, based off of stats in some of the highlights. I know Shamir Dyke, has 487 yards on the year, Long of 74, 5 touchdowns. Skylar Bell was apparently a pretty good, good stud player, 280 yards, 3 touchdowns. Ingram and Lewis, they're 100-yard guys, but Lewis has 2 touchdowns. Marcus Allen just actually went in the transfer portal. He had a touchdown against Northwestern. They seem to have some speed though on the outside. So I just don't want to be, hopefully we shore up that defense. But the offensive line, again, apparently their offensive line is a big disappointment this year. It's not what it normally is. And again, I think they had like 1 rushing yard against Illinois, something crazy like that. I mean, Illinois just absolutely blasted them. I was curious if anybody watched that game, but they straight up destroyed them. Absolutely destroyed them. But yeah, again, guys, if you guys want to jump on or anybody wants to jump on and talk, the link is in the description. If it's not working, let me know, but it's in the comment section. If you guys want to jump on and talk, I would love to have a guest Or if you have any discussion topics you want, feel free to keep firing them up in the comment section. I know sometimes these can be sporadic, don't have as much flow to them as my my other videos, but it's kind of just a sound off kind of thing. BC Fanatic on the boards, coming up big again with some stats. All right, national rankings going into this Wisconsin-Purdue game. So Purdue's total offense is 36. Wisconsin is 77th. Rush offense, Purdue is at 90th. Wisconsin 52nd. Pass offense, Purdue 16th. Wisconsin's 88th. Passing yards per, Purdue is at 111th. And Wisconsin's at 27th. That's pretty surprising. So that tells you play action, I think. Play action pass. They're getting big chunks. Scoring offense, we're 40th, they're 58th, pretty close. Our total defense is 40th, they're 24th. Run defense is 17th, they're 27th. We allowed passing yards allowed, we're 91st, they're 51st. Scoring defense, we're 51st, 33rd. So I mean, pretty evenly matched game. I think the biggest difference there is the total offensive ranking and the passing yards allowed. So, but the fact that their passing offense is 88th is somewhat of a good sign. Yep, Hetfield, it is very very crazy to see us at 17 versus the rush, but it's honestly, we're in the Big Ten West, so that is the perfect. And again, the teams that we're playing coming up, we have to be sound against the run, and so far we have been. So let's hope that that continues, and the defense can get itself situated back there in the secondary. Hopefully Jefferson gets back and we shore some things up. But we'll say. And we'll get in, if nobody jumps on here in a few minutes, we'll talk more about the Big Ten West. We talked about it last week, and some scenarios actually came out and happened that we were hoping that happened. And one of them was Michigan State beating Wisconsin, which I didn't think would happen. But this pretty much, I think, Wisconsin's pretty much, they're done with 3 losses. I don't see them, having a chance to go to Indy. That was a big loss for them. But Wisconsin... What was I saying? Again, has the ability to throw it deep, but again, Mertz is so hot and cold. It's just you don't know what you're going to get with him. So hopefully, again, we shore up our secondary. Oh, I was going to say. So Wisconsin, interesting situation. So that they played against Northwestern 2 weeks ago. Blew their doors off, looked great. Their offense looked somewhat different than what it has been with Christ. Yeah, Christ. Looked a little more RPO-ish, more passing yards. Merged through 5 touchdowns. They killed Northwestern, which it's Northwestern at Northwestern. They go to Michigan State, and their fans, again, on the reaction show I watched, were very upset that they seem to have completely abandoned the game plan against Northwestern and went back to the old Christ ways of old. And we're just, very predictable. Mertz was back to his, usual self. But I think, Christ apparently was a very, very well-liked coach. He was a player's coach. The players were very upset that he was fired. And I think this loss against Michigan State could actually, I don't want to say implosion on its way, but, them not winning that game was huge, not only for the Big Ten standings, but the fact is, momentum's a real thing. You win. If they won that Michigan State game, they're feeling really good about themselves. All right, 2 wins in a row, new interim coach. He's doing something right. Everybody's, feeling good about themselves. Like, oh, here comes a team we have, they haven't beat us since 2003. Let's go. Michigan State loss, at least some doubt now, And if you don't believe me, again, they just had a wide receiver go to the transfer portal yesterday, a guy that had a touchdown against Northwestern. So what does that tell you? That tells you that, okay, maybe things aren't, people like Paul Christ on that team, things aren't as hunky-dory maybe as they would have been with the win against Michigan State. Maybe, that locker room is not at a great place, and, it could benefit Purdue quite a bit. Yeah, I feel that's a great over and under for this week's show. Will we hold, Allen under 100 yards? Illinois did it. I'm not saying that we have Illinois' defense, but Illinois did it, and maybe we can do it as well. Allen was slow for half last year. Yeah, I was trying to remember that game. That game last year. I think we did pretty good on the first half, and then their defense just shut us down, and our defense wore down. And Allen had that big opposite goal line run of I can't remember what it was, 80 yards, something like that, and that kind of blew the game open a little bit. But got somebody on. Let's Josh and
what's up, man?
What's going on, Josh?
Man, enjoying a beautiful night here in Boonville, Indiana.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the home of the Mr. Maccabee.
Crazy legs.
Yeah, I'm actually his uncle.
Oh, all right, nice.
So yeah, man. I'll tell you what. The defensive line's looking strong for Purdue. I mean, it's up there, man. So, I mean, how do you feel, as you guys probably talked about, I got on, how's Brom going to address the secondary issues that we're seeing? What do you think? What would be your guess? What would you do?
I mean, to me, it's got to be a scheme thing.
Yeah.
There's no, they got one safety back there. I just don't understand English's scheme. He's done it all year. He's getting beat all year with it, and he hasn't changed it. We've honestly been pretty lucky that, other teams haven't exploited it. I think on every single broadcast, and I think Jake Butt was the one. I can't remember what game it was. I think it was FAU game. He was like, he kept talking about it to death. Like, just, leaving these guys on an island, take your shots.
Yeah.
And, we finally had a team that, was able to throw it deep, and they put it on tape that, all right, we can bring these guys deep.
That's pretty cool, man. They got to do something, man. Wisconsin, they got the big running back. We're going to see, are they going to try him, or are they going to go over the top like Nebraska did to us?
Definitely
shootout. You want to get in the shootout with Wisconsin, or see what happens. They're not really known for the pass.
No, but they passed quite a bit on Northwestern. But that's what's kind of weird is this Wisconsin team in Mertz. He's so up and down. You just don't. He's obviously got talent, but I don't know if he's a head case or what his deal is. But he's had some good games, but he's had a lot of.
They put the whooping on Northwestern too when they started passing on him, right?
Yeah. So that's what's kind of makes you a little bit nervous. But Maccabee, man, he's a stud. We've been talking about it a while, but he took some hits. I hope he's doing all right.
Oh yeah, he's doing good. I talked to him today. He said the show must go on. That's exactly what the text message said. The show must go on. The kid's super humble. Like, the family, we might try to get hyped up for him. I mean, the dude he's low. What you're seeing on everything he does, that's what he is, man. The dude's like, I'm like, man, if I was in your shoes, what would I be doing right now? I mean, but he's not.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, super, super chill. And it's crazy. He's always been like that, though, man. I mean, the cat did not even go to his senior prom because he didn't feel like it. He wouldn't. I mean, he'd be over here working in the shop, working on race cars because we do drag cars, build high horsepower cars, 2,000 plus horsepower, and he'd be over here working on that stuff, and he wouldn't even be worried about going to prom. It's football, cars, and
that's funny.
He likes that gaming and playing the guitar.
Now, did he grow up a Purdue fan?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how big a Purdue fan he was, but I know, like he said, between his sophomore and junior year, he did one of those like camps up there at Purdue that they do as a defensive back. So the whole goal was his dad. We're trying to get him recruited as a defensive back because defensive back you got more numbers, you got more of a chance to get it than a running back does.
Mm-hmm.
So any camp that he went to, it was as a defensive back. And then I think Tom, I know my brother's talking, Devin's dad's talking to Tom tonight, and they're going to do like a story to, try to tell, kind of where Devin was at and, how he was under recruited. And it's a pretty cool story, like all the stuff that a lot of hours And, in the end, it was pretty much, Devin going up there to the Indiana State track meet and showing, okay, you had the numbers during football season. The kid played both ways. So he played offense and defense. Like you said, ran for like 1,800 yards in 8 games. He was going well over 2,000 yards, playing both ways, never come out of the game. And he went up to state track meet, won the long jump, and placed second in the 110 high hurdles. And they were literally, I think, like 2 weeks away. He was like 2 weeks away from going to the Navy. And I think Barclay, like he said, called his phone, and and rest was history. So
thank goodness he answered his phone, because I think we might be in a little world. He's completely changed the dynamic of this offense.
Oh yeah, and here's the thing though, you get Chris Barclay. He's had a lot of bad luck with backs, transferring out, or like doing a whole bunch of dumb stuff. And Devin's one of those cats that's just going to be pretty much rock solid. And there was another running back coach. People really don't know that Devin, he was getting looks by big time schools like University of Cal actually requested his transcripts based off, but that was through the whole COVID thing, and they couldn't really do anything. You're not going to take a big risk from a kid all the way in Indiana. You got big Power 5 schools calling about them, but they're not going to, they're making $400,000 a year as running back coaches, and you're going to get some of the competition. I don't really get, they talk about the bad competition here in Southern Indiana. Brady Allen, Devin was in the same conference as Brady Allen. So it's kind of like, but Brady, he got out there and he's awesome. Have you ever seen Brady play, throw the ball at all?
Yeah.
Oh
he's
gosh.
Yeah. He can
oh
sling it.
my, I'm telling you, the people that, they're thinking that Brady could be the next guy. I'm telling you guys, Brady Allen, he's something different. He's one of those two. Purdue's setting pretty good right now.
Yeah, we're about to have a Southern Indiana quarterback, running back combination for the foreseeable future.
We'll see what happens. And he's got to beat out the Alamo. What's his name? Alamo,
Michael
Alamo. He's got some wheels on him, man. He's got some wheels.
Athlete, yeah.
So and they run a pretty good option pitch out with Devin, from what I've been hearing.
Yeah. So, we've added that play, it seems like. Yeah, that kind of that pitch.
Did you see the play with Burton? Burton did the option with Downing on the edge right there. That first play. That's we're the family's back home. We're like, why can't we get Devin on that play? Let's get him on that play.
It's funny, what I mean? That podcast, that the game, or the podcast after that game, we said that. I think I said it 3 times. If Devin would have had that instead of Downing, which I love Downing, but if Devin would have had it, that's a house call.
And Devin's getting a lot of attention right now, because he is a little bit different than these other guys. But dude, all those guys in that room, Devin tells me they all get along, they all talk, hang out, whatnot, and they all root on each other. They're competing against each other, but they're rooting for each other. And the Braum 180-pound comment, I'm going to put that to bed. He is not 180 pounds.
I was going to ask you how much he actually weighs.
195 pounds. And Braum, he pretty much I think Braum knew what he had in Devin, because guys, like I said, he in one of the fall scrimmage, one of the private scrimmages, Devin ran for 250 yards on our number 1 team. So, wow. And one of those for an 80-yard house call and a 70-yard house call, rushing on our number 1 team that hadn't gave up a 100-yard rusher yet. So, I'm not trying to brag from anything, but I'm just happy he's at Purdue. And, long as he keeps, I'm telling you guys, if you guys could literally, you see the videos of him, if you can meet this cat, he's just so steady. He's, if you notice, after he doesn't play, he doesn't get down and do the celebrating and do the screaming. He's never done that, man. And, he kind of gets outcast sometimes by, some of the other schools, team, like the high profile players, because, they're celebrating, and he's just in there putting in work, man. Like he's a factory worker, just putting in work.
Yeah, no, we love it. That's a great attitude to have, and kind of a.
Here's the question though: when are they going to set that kid aside and say, "Hey, man, here's a scholarship offer for you starting in the spring semester"? That's what we're waiting on back here in Boonville.
Oh, it's going to happen. I think one's opened up, even with Cam Craig, being out for the year, out for his career. That's one scholarship, but I'm sure he'll get it.
Yeah, I'd hope so. I know somebody take him.
I'm sure he'll get some NIL coming his way too.
Yeah, he's trying. The thing is though, he's not gonna go out and like chase the NIL stuff, because with the recruiting stuff, dude, he would have like Cincinnati was on him for a while, and there were some decent schools that were hollering at him, and like it was everything for his dad to get him to post on social media that, hey, these guys sent me a game invite. Hey, these guys sent me a good luck. So I don't know. He's just a different cat, man. He's just a different cat. But man, it's been good talking to you. I don't want to keep you up too long. I figured I'd call in and give you some.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I'm trying to put that 180 pounds to bed. I don't know if Brom's doing that just to try to get the other guys to, but he's always ran 15 pounds heavier than what he is. And it's people underestimate when I tell you this kid's legs are strong. He's like got that Rondell Moore, the squatting squat. That's Devin Maccabee. They're not telling you guys that.
Yeah, you can tell he's got some sneaky strength. Like some of those hits he was taking, he was delivering some hits too when he lowered his shoulder.
Well, yeah, I had to get on to him a little bit about that truck stick right out the gate.
Yeah,
I said, "What are you trying to do? You trying to take yourself out of the game right out the gate?" But that right there, it pretty much put the bed. He needs to get strong. He does need to get stronger. If we can get him to 205 to 207. That'll be awesome. I know he got down. There was one time last year he got sick, and he got down in the 180s. And then over the summer, the family, like me, my brother, my mom, a lot of us, we were putting money together and sending him, the pre-made meals in the summertime when he was up taking summer classes. So we had a meal service delivered to him, trying to bulk him up, get weight going to him, because when he's up there during the summertime, he's doing internships or working jobs or whatnot.
Yep.
So hey, maybe Purdue help him out this year. We'll see what happens, guys.
I'm sure it's coming. But
all right.
Hey, I appreciate you jumping on, Josh, and tell Devin we're all rooting for him. And
man, I will. Hey, he hears you guys. That's for sure. He hears you guys. That's for dang sure, man. He watches that social media. Don't let him think he doesn't. He be watching it. All right, take it easy.
We'll see you.
See you.
Thanks to Josh for jumping on. Devin's uncle. Yeah, Maccabee's been an absolute revelation for this offense. Man, again, I don't. When I talk about a player, I'm not necessarily talking down another player, but you could just tell. And King Daru is not 100% healthy. Don't get me wrong, but we all have eyes. We trust our eyes, I'm sure, and you could just tell there's just a completely different speed between King Daru, and Maccabee. I mean, it's like one guy's in second gear, one guy's in fourth gear. It's not even close. Devin is just a different back, quite frankly, a Joey Harris type back, somebody we haven't had in 20 something years for. Anyway, appreciate Josh coming on. Anybody else want to jump on, feel free. The link's in the description. Feel free to talk about Purdue sports or Purdue football. One thing about Wisconsin's transfer portal, players can leave within 30 days of coaching firing. Probably a few considering will enter save option. That's a good point. I'm not even, the transfer portal's changed so much even in the past, couple months with those new rules. And I read them obviously once or twice, but I can't remember exactly what they are. But I think there's a window now you have to be in, I think towards the end of the year. Although, even though, a coach gets fired, you can obviously go in the transfer portal within 30 days. But if you've already played over 4 games, you're still going to lose your eligibility for that season. So, I feel like a player that, has been contributing is over that 4 game mark would be, pretty stupid to transfer at this point. But Ted, you asked, are we waiting for the bye week to make changes? That's a good point. I've actually wondered that myself. Again, I'm not there at practice. I'm sure it's somewhat hard to implement a whole new defensive strategy change, but maybe not. I mean, some teams do it, here and there, but some changes obviously have to be made. We can't continue to just have complete breakdowns in the secondary, especially when the front, the defensive line is playing so well. Those guys got to get it together. And again, we're not playing any teams that have we're not playing the teams that had can beat you deep consistently coming up. I mean, we play against Wisconsin, obviously, Iowa, Illinois, who they're not going to throw it deep, although they have the potential to throw the ball downfield a little bit with Williams and the other guy. Northwestern, that's going to be a bloodbath, and then Indiana. Actually, IU can throw the ball a little bit, but and congratulations to IU for the first football program in D1 to lose, I think, 700 games. So big congratulations to them. Yeah, if you guys want to hop on in, or somebody wants to hop on in, feel free. Oh, I know what you're talking about. The West. Obviously, I think at this point it is down to not Wisconsin. It is down to Illinois and Purdue. With Wisconsin losing, Iowa's got Ohio State. They're going to lose, obviously. That puts them at 3 losses. Wisconsin has 3 losses. This, and I hate to say this, I'm not dropping the excuses already, but this Wisconsin-Purdue game is actually, Purdue really needs to get this win. And the fact, it would be a good momentum, continue the momentum, get to the bye week, get healthy, have all the momentum going forward. They don't necessarily actually have to win this game to win the Big Ten. I say that because obviously they have, if they lose again, if they do get beat by Wisconsin, let's say, they're at 2 losses in the Big Ten West. Illinois is at 1. If Illinois, even if they would beat Nebraska, which that's going to be, a harder game than I think some realize for Illinois. If they beat, Nebraska, and then they play Purdue, and Purdue still is at 2 losses, Illinois is at 1. We just have to beat Illinois. We win that game. We got the tiebreaker. We're still in business. So it's not do or die, I guess, this weekend. But in my sense, and we're all Purdue fans, that Iowa game scares me for some reason. I don't know why. I mean, they're, that Ohio State game can maybe cripple them completely, but that defense is legit. Special teams is legit, and weird things can happen. And again, I can't remember who said this. I don't think it was in this podcast, but we haven't had our Purdue yearly bad weather game yet. There's always one game where it's just horrendous weather. And it sounds like this weekend against Wisconsin is going to be pretty nice weather still. So it's going to be like 60s, I think, and no rain. So that means we'll have survived 8 games so far without, or not 8 games, 7 games. Is it 7 games? No, 8 games. Jeez, I'm losing my mind. 8 games without, bad weather. That's 4 left in November. You have to think one of those games might be bad weather. And a bad weather game against Iowa would be just terrible. Oh, that's a good point, Sherman. I forgot. Illinois got to play at Michigan. You're right. I don't think they're not going to win that game either. So, but Purdue would still have to beat Illinois. If Purdue does lose to Wisconsin, because they would have the tiebreaker at 3 losses. So if Purdue can beat Illinois, again, if Purdue gets to 3 losses but beats Illinois, I think we're in the driver's seat, because we got the tiebreaker against Minnesota. I think Wisconsin they'll probably lose again with that schedule, put them at 4. So 3, I think, would do it with a win against Illinois. But again, we just need to do, just win out. I mean, Purdue could, I guess, technically win out. But having said that, we cannot continue to play this game where, we're in, again, 1-score game at, we've played 7 games so far this year, and 6 of them have been, a close game. Even that Minnesota game, which was 20-10, that was a pretty close game up until that last drive. You're just playing with fire. So far, Purdue's actually coming out ahead of it. So Purdue's extremely battle tested, but I don't know if this is not a great formula for success especially knowing Purdue's luck of continuing to be in these 50-50 type games where you're just kind of asking for trouble. One play here and there, one fumble, one just bad read by O'Connell or a bad ball, pick six. I mean, you're flirting with disaster. So we need to play a complete game. We need to find out, or we need this Purdue team to put it together, keep winning the line of scrimmage, get the secondary cleaned up, take care of business, and not get in any, situations where, we lose a tiebreaker and go to Indy. To me, the ultimate goal, and I am all in on this. I am all in on getting to Indianapolis. Like that's all I want, especially with all the changes coming, with the Braum uncertainty, which is a real thing. Again, there's chatter, if he's going to go to Louisville or not. I don't at this point. I don't even care. I just want us to. I want us to get to the Indy so bad. And again, the Big Ten with the realignment and all that stuff, and the West Division probably going, bye-bye, if not next year, the year after that. This is, going to be probably the best opportunity we have to get to Indianapolis, maybe in a long, long time. So if we, squander it, I am going to be upset. I am not going to be happy. So I am all in on the Indy train. Again, if anybody wants to join the podcast and break down your thoughts, feel free to click on the Streamyard link, jump in. Keep those comments coming, guys. Again, I guess sometimes these live shows can get kind of sporadic, especially when there's only one person talking. Myself and my brother, who usually co-hosts with me, they just had a baby. His wife, my sister-in-law, did. Baby Gus, born 2 days ago, so he is obviously detained for the night in the hospital. But keep the comments coming. Feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. Again, I don't do this for money or anything like that, or even, I don't care about growing the channel big at all, but getting likes and getting more subscribers actually allows you to do some more things on your channel, which is nice. YouTube, for some reason, locks some of the editing and some other features behind your subscriber count, which is pretty dumb, but it is what it is. So that will help the channel tremendously if you like and subscribe. So that's all I'll say about that. But speaking of the he is a father, but father of two now. There he is in the comments. Congratulations. Hey, if you want to jump on from the hospital, feel free. I don't know if Jessica will get mad, but I could use a co-host. Oh, yeah, and Cole, that over-under, man. Last week we said over-under. Devin Mockabee would get 100 yards rushing. I said over. Cole said under. And I think I said that he would go 70 yards on a house call, which he did not do. But he actually went for over 100 yards in the first half. So, Cole, I'm curious. Do you think Devin Mockabee will go for over 100? All of you, I'm curious. Do you think Devin Mockabee will go for over 100 yards against Wisconsin? Former Wisconsin running back. I'm gonna get his name wrong. Is it Berger? That's not right. A guy that was like third string last year and got kicked off the team. Went to Michigan State. Yeah, Berger. I'm probably saying that wrong. He had 16 carries for 59 yards and a touchdown against Wisconsin. Braylon Allen had 29 carries for 123 yards. It's 4.2 yards on average, 2 touchdowns with a long of 34. One thing that the Wisconsin fans on the podcast that I watched were complaining about was he's doing a lot of dancing this year. Actually, one of the guys commenting or in the video was also said he was a Colts fan, and he was saying that Taylor's doing the same thing this year, which I don't really watch the Colts, so I can't comment on that. But a lot of dancing this year between those two, apparently. And he is not he's looking for the big play. instead of, going in the holes and getting the 3 or 4 yards, he's dancing around and he's only getting 1 yard quite a bit this year, something that they're getting a little frustrated with. But I mean, he's probably one of the best, running backs in the Big Ten, top 3. Let's see how he's done this year, though. This year he's his average is down over a yard, and he's got a 96-yard touchdown this year. Holy smokes! 133 attempts for 757 yards. Last year he had 186 with 1,268 yards of rushing. Apparently, though, Malusi, I was going to say that wrong. Malusi, the Clemson transfer, did not play against Michigan State, and I don't know what his status is. He hurt his wrist. He's going to miss an unspecified length of time. He got hurt against Northwestern. So that's their backup, I hear, is not anywhere as good as he is. Yes, sir. Cole, I don't know if you were on earlier, but Maccabee's uncle came on. Good conversation with him. He spoke for a few minutes, talking a little bit about Devin and the recruitment process and how he how he's not 180 pounds. He's like 195. So the broadcast guy, Brom, said that. I think actually he said 180 pounds. But Devin he's a wiry guy. He's stronger than he looks. What are your guys' biggest fears in this Wisconsin game? First of all, what's your predictions too? Do you guys are you kind of like me where like I want to say Purdue's going to win this game, but I'm too scared to say it just for the fact that we've not beat them in again since 2003. Again, it's history's a funny thing. It doesn't really matter in the sense of it. These teams are all different every year. But, we've not been able to shake those demons, those Wisconsin demons. And until we get a win up there, maybe it is kind of a pick'em game for me. But again, this is Jim Leonard's first game at home. He had 2 road games to start out. Again, I think that loss against Michigan State is absolutely huge. I think the momentum is stopped. There's more question marks in the locker room. Quite frankly, they did not look very good in that game at all. Michigan State, pretty much completely screwed that up at the end of that game. Mel Tucker, the $95 million man, with a terrible timeout, and then did a pass play or something when they had no timeouts. They had to rush the field goal unit on the field, and then they don't even get the kickoff because it's a bad snap. The snapper had to throw it and gets picked off, I believe. Just awful. And then they get bailed out. They do score, I think, the first play in overtime, and then Wisconsin scores, I think, on the first play in their possession. And then Braylon Allen fumbles it, and on his first play of the second overtime, and that's the game. So Allen didn't light it up against MSU, broke one, but got hit a lot at the line of scrimmage. Yeah, offensive line not opening holes like we were used to. That is true. That offensive line, again, Wisconsin fans seem to be very frustrated with the progress of that unit, and apparently it's not because of lack of recruiting. I think they're all 4-stars, just not getting production out of those guys. Again, I've said it, I think, earlier on the podcast, this might be the first time where we sorry, I was reading something. First time where we actually have a better team in the trenches on both sides of the football. Just looking at the injury report, apparently Malusi is going to be out against Purdue. And so will Isaiah Mullins, the D tackle. So, yeah, from what they were saying, they have 3 guys that are returners from the defense from last year. And then really, I think it's Hubbard is really their only stud on defense. And outside of that, it's just a bunch of guys that are Nick Herbig, excuse me. He's really good, number 19. But outside of him, they don't really have any playmakers. They're pretty much an average unit. Again, not something that we're used to. So this is not the Wisconsin teams that we're used to. This is a team that theoretically we should be able to beat. Almost like almost comparing them to Minnesota when we went up and played Minnesota, probably with I wouldn't say not as good defense, possibly even. Their defense is not as good as Minnesota's, and their offense is probably it's better, I guess, than it was obviously with they probably have a better offense. But the quarterback, again, Mertz is so hot and cold, you just don't know. I think he's more cold than hot. So, and the pressure on him's got to be pretty high too, because if he doesn't have a good year, good last couple games, he's pretty much probably going to be asked to leave, or he's going to get out of town. Yeah, anybody else? If you guys want to jump on the podcast, feel free. Again, you don't have to show your face. You can just go ahead and talk. I'm no expert, so if I can do this, anybody can do it. It's it's. I think probably if you're watching this, you're pretty much close to being an expert on Purdue football, or close to it. So, love to hear your thoughts. Love to hear some discussions. What you guys want to talk about. What your biggest worries are for the rest of the season. Heck, you can talk about Jeff Brom if you want. I don't know if I want to really go down that rabbit hole. Again, at this point, I just want to get to Indy. I don't care about anything else. I don't want any distractions. Hopefully Louisville keeps winning just for that sense. And yeah, you know what? Let's talk about wide receivers. So we've obviously wanted guys to step up, needed guys to step up. Charlie Jones was back to his old self, sizzling, 2 touchdowns. But then, quietly, the guy that's really stepped up to be number 2 outside of Payne Durham, who had a pretty quiet game against Nebraska, the guy that stepped up, man, is TJ Sheffield. I think he had 70 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns against Nebraska. He's now got 254 for the season and 3 touchdowns. He's third now behind Jones and Durham. Rashawn Rice had a couple catches. He's at 173. Wow, that's pretty. 173 for the season. That's surprising. 1 touchdown. Tracy's got 170 yards, which is better than receiving, which is better than he did last year and the year before for Iowa. So he's actually improved his numbers. Maccabee has 130 receiving yards on the year, 10 yards on the average, with a long of 28. Guy that I was a little bit, I don't want to say upset with, but surprised he was getting run against Maryland. And this was not completely unfounded because Tom Dienhart had mentioned his name a couple times this offseason. The staff really likes him. Is probably going to say his name on, but Andrew Sawinski, who I believe is from Bishop Chatard, I want to say. Anyway, apparently very fast, 6 foot 195 sophomore. I don't know if that's a true sophomore or redshirt sophomore, but walk on. We are quickly becoming walk on you with Jeff Brom and Purdue. But this guy's comparable to Jackson Anthrop. Good route runner. Came out of his breaks, excellent, and aided him a couple times. Actually, I think he had he had 34 yards on 4 catches. So he looked like a pretty reliable option, man. If he can continue to improve and get more comfortable, he could be a good slot threat. Because right now, he's not the most talented guy, but with Aiden O'Connell, I've said this multiple times, and again, it sounds crazy, but I heard somebody else say this on a different podcast that wasn't a Purdue podcast, that Aiden O'Connell is like he's like a Tom Brady and Drew Brees in the sense that he actually makes the receivers around him much better. Drew Brees had guys in New Orleans and Tom Brady had guys in New England that were just complete bums that once, if they left the Saints or the Patriots, they were nothing. They weren't anything without the quarterback. And the way that they, again, we're putting Aiden in some serious, high company here, but the three things, or the one thing those three players have in common, they are extremely accurate. And when you're an accurate thrower like that, you can throw guys open. And when you have good route runners that, might not necessarily be the fastest guys on the planet, you can still have a lot of success. So, again, if anybody wants to join, the link is in the comments section. Patrick Kennedy, Purdue defensive secondary, horrible. Well, I mean, there's nothing you cannot. I mean, it's hard to argue that fact based on the Nebraska game. Not their best game. Definitely missing Chris Jefferson. It'd be very nice to get him back this weekend. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Brom this morning said, it's completely up to Jefferson when he comes back. I'm not exactly sure what he's dealing with. Sounds like it might be some sort of mental health, I don't want to say issue, but just kind of needed to take a step back. There was a couple plays I noticed, especially at the end of Syracuse game and another game, and I don't remember which one exactly. But Jefferson he's a very emotional player, and I don't know if he just needed to take a step back, and just kind of, get some things, or there was a completely different situation. But I don't want to speculate, but he tweeted himself that he'd be back soon. He's got unfinished business, so hopefully, if he is out this weekend, hopefully after the bye week, he's back ready to go against Iowa. But yeah. Hob, doing good, man. Welcome to the channel. Good to have you in here tonight. Yeah, the secondary, again, I think, and again, if anybody is more versed on the X's and O's, please feel free to jump on here and talk about the schematics of what you're seeing and what we're doing wrong. I am not a big X and O. God, I can't talk tonight. X and O's guy. I see it, call it how I see it. I understand plays a little bit, formations, but again, I'm not an expert on it. Not even close, but I understand some of the terminology, but to me, it's a schematic issue. Again, this has been all year. There's been announcers that have called it out all year saying, man, Purdue's leaving their corners on an island. They're selling out to stop the run. They're leaving these guys on an island, and they're, saying best of luck, guys. And that the opportunities to go over the top against this Purdue defense has been there all year. And we've seen it. And we saw it against the, I don't think Penn State took, that much advantage of it. Maybe because of the quarterback, but, Syracuse definitely did. FAU did. Hell, even Indiana State did a little bit for a couple of plays. Maryland, kind of did, but then Maryland in the second half, I feel like, I don't know what kind of game plan kind of game the offensive coordinator called there, but I felt they called a terrible game in the second half. They should have taken more shots down the field. And that's part of the reason why, we're giving up so many plays in the, end of halves, situations like that, is because teams, when the clock is ticking down and there's less time to score, these teams are pushing the ball down the field and they're finding success. So it's unbelievable to me that no team has realized, wait a minute, why don't we play the offense like we do in a 2-minute situation or a 1 minute or heck, a 35-second situation against this Purdue defense? They clearly can't stop it. It's happening every single game. In Nebraska, credit to them, I think it was that first down play. The game was about to go to the end of the first quarter, was about to expire, and they decided to run a play. And they threw it deep, and they connected. And then they're like, oh, you know what? This seems to be a theme. Let's keep it going. And guess what? Purdue couldn't stop it all night long. They just kept doing it. I think the stat, Palmer, he finished up with 297 total yards. 60 of that was on one carry for 60 yards on a rush. And, the other 237 was receiving. I think he had, was it 6 catches for over 30 yards? I think his average reception was 37 yards. But Clearly, there's a schematic issue. There's a schematic issue. We got to fix it. Does that mean that the run game's not going to be as strong? I mean, I don't know. It seems like our defensive line are actually the ones that are making the tackles. But yeah, Purdue plays Ohio State and Indy. Ohio State will destroy our secondary. Yep. I mean, they did last year. But this is actually a good question. Would you guys rather – I think it's actually an obvious question. But, if Purdue takes care of business, we go to Indy. Would you rather play Michigan or Ohio State? I think that might be obvious. Michigan's pretty good, though. But I think Purdue, at least on the defensive side of the football, matches up better against Michigan, in stopping the run. Though Michigan's pretty good, obviously. And that defense is legit. Plus, who knows? I mean, we got 5 more games to go to get to Indy. And even if we do get to Indy, depth is starting to get pretty scary at some positions. So we got to really, hold out hope, especially the offensive line, that, they're down to 6 guys basically after being, they went from 8 to 6, that they're comfortable with. We're down to 6. And it sounds like both tackles played every snap last week. They're just rotating guards between Fanoe, Halstead, and I'm drawing a complete blank. Who's our other guard? Bo. Sorry. Bo, those 3 are, rotating. They're somewhat fresh, but the tackles are now out there every single snap going forward. So we have to, pray for health there. Because, again, we don't have any tackles that are going to appear anytime soon, unfortunately. That Daniel Johnson, season-ending injury is going to play kind of big. RG said Saturday looked less about scheme and more about delayed reaction. Maybe didn't realize Palmer's speed. Ran past Allen and touchdown. He thought he did. Yeah, it could be. Could be. Again, I haven't broken it down too much. Could be right. It just seemed like, again, there's no safety help. That's what I don't understand. And you're right, RG, that, it probably was that way, at first, but he did it to us 6 times or something like that. After the second and third time, you think, all right, guys, we're going to play safety help, basically double team Palmer and have somebody else beat us. And from my understanding is we didn't do that. And so far, I like Ron English. Seems like a good coach. Players like him, but man, he might be a little stubborn. Just the way he's calling the defense. Again, this one safety high seems like he's going to call it this way no matter what, and it is what it is. And if you beat it, you beat it. We're not going to change anything. Again, someone tell me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen too many schematic changes back there. And that is why, again, we keep giving up plays when teams go to a kind of a hurry up, throw it down the field offense. And again, Nebraska was the first team to figure out, let's just keep doing it. Or they had a guy that could do it, maybe in Palmer, all night long. Oh, man. That Michigan, speaking of Michigan, Ohio State, that game's in Ohio State, I believe, this year. Which obviously is a big advantage to the Buckeyes, who I'm sure will blow out the Hawkeyes this week. And although Iowa, has a pretty good defense, so I'd be curious to see how good they can hold up against them. If anybody wants to jump in, on the call, feel free. The link is in the comment section. Looks like we got somebody. Hey, Boiler D, you there?
Yeah, what's going on, man?
What's going on? We can hear you.
All right. Hey, so I think we got a great chance against Wisconsin. I mean, they're as ripe as they've been in a long time.
I mean, if it doesn't happen this year, it might not happen for 19 more years.
Yeah, I think I put on there on the site that their rush offense is only like the second tier. So that's not a typical Wisconsin team.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard me earlier, but I was listening to a couple of Locked On Badgers or whatever on YouTube on my drive up to. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska right now for work, but they were talking about this offensive line from Wisconsin is not their typical line, and actually though they're pretty highly recruited offensive line, but they have just not performed at all. Very disappointing this year on their line, both their lines, defensive line and offensive line. So this is the first game where, in many years, where Purdue might have a better offensive line and defensive line than the Badgers.
Were they saying that Mullins was going to play or no?
They did not mention him.
Okay.
Actually, it was more of a reaction against the Michigan State game. They haven't. I don't think they've put out anything on a Purdue breakdown. Although they seem to think that they were saying that they think Purdue's offense is going to light them up.
Yeah, their pass defense isn't good. And I remember when Tiller was, he did a lot with a lot of unsung players and recruits. And what ended up happening was when they tried to switch over to higher recruited players, they found out it wasn't as easy as they thought. And so maybe, I don't know, I don't follow their recruiting, but maybe they had those homegrown Wisconsin kids and they started trying to be the national recruits and found out it wasn't as easy as it looks.
That's actually a great point, and we had Devin Lockaby's uncle on earlier, and he was just talking about the drive that Devin has, and he's just built different. He's all about football, doesn't really care about anything else, and that is something to say. Even with us on our walk on you, we've become is sometimes these unheralded guys just they outwork your 4-star recruits. Kind of even Grady Eifert in basketball is an example. These guys bust their tail, get better, when maybe the guys with the God-given talent aren't working as hard and they get passed up.
And I think that's a great point. I think that you're going to see more and more of that. And like I was posting on the site, I think you're going to see more teams fall completely off the ledge. Maybe, I don't know this is what happened with Wisconsin, but maybe as NIL has become more prevalent, I think you're going to see teams that you've thought of as tough completely go soft. And you're going to see players like Maccabee that are just there for the right reasons, just have a much easier time of it. Because if you look at that Nebraska game, he was looking to put his head down and knock people out, and you didn't see that coming from the Nebraska defenders.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, NIL is something that, again, I don't know what most people are on the side of the fence for, but it is what it is at this point. But yeah, you can't say there's not going to be repercussions and there's going to be baggage that comes with that. And I've always thought that maybe a guy gets a little more comfortable, it doesn't work as hard as he would normally.
Yeah, no, I mean, I want the kids to get paid, but as they get paid, there's going to be guys that don't bring the commitment that they brought when they were just hungry and trying to make a life for themselves. So. Yep. I don't know what the effect of that will be. So I have a couple things for this game. I know a lot of people have kind of come back at me on the site saying that, our blocking's been better. I think there's been reasons for that in some games. I think Nebraska was a little bit of a smaller, quicker defense to try to get after the quarterback. And Minnesota, I think, bailed in coverage. I think this week is where we see if we can run the ball, because they are vulnerable, but they're still a stout Wisconsin defense. And now you're going to see if those Purdue offensive linemen can get a push up front.
That's a good point. And again, I don't know if you heard me earlier, but again, what these Wisconsin guys were saying is this defense, again, they returned 3 starters from last year. They don't really have any elite players, maybe outside of one. There is a bunch of average to solid players, I guess, which is not exactly a bad thing, but yeah, it's still a sound Wisconsin defense. Maybe not not the stars like they're used to, but yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think this weekend will tell the story. Can Purdue get push up front, and can we run on these guys?
And also, I think the thing that I've been following is, I've been big on the chemistry with the receivers. I started to feel in that Nebraska game like some of the receivers were starting to get it. I mean, did TJ Sheffield have his best game of the season? So it didn't just feel like Jones or, Payne Durham. I mean, Payne didn't even have like a lot of yards or anything, but it seemed like Sheffield is kind of, I mean, I think he had something like 90 yards, and, Rice didn't look uncomfortable. He only had one catch, but at least he got out there.
Yeah, he had knocked some rust off. You know what I was actually thinking today is, and it was back to the comment about Braum in this press conference saying, I think Tom asked him if this is the best game Aiden's played. But, this time last year, or kind of close to it, is when Aiden went on that absolute tear and things, started clicking. So, I mean, we could potentially be in that spot now where, Aiden's now back to 100%. Offense starts clicking, and that wheel is moving. So hopefully, it's all up from here. It'd be interesting. I can't remember. I had a good analogy in my head and I forgot it. But if you kind of would graph Purdue's, where they're at this point in the season, where they're trending, I think we'd be trending up currently. Well, at least on the offensive side of the ball. I don't know about defense.
Well, and then, the thing last year with O'Connell that I thought made him so dangerous was that he just could turn around and he could turn to his left and fire to Milton Wright. And I know quarterbacks, when they drop back, they can see the guy, the wide receiver on the right, if they're right-handed. They can see him all day. But he could just seem to turn and throw the ball, to a lined area to Milton Wright, and Wright would reel it in. And I think not having Wright this year is really cost us because I don't think that the guys on the left are bad players, but I just don't think anybody as of yet has gotten, the chemistry with O'Connell. But it's kind of looked like Rice might be coming on in that regard. Man, he looks a little more comfortable, even if the production isn't, great.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Man, could you imagine if we had Wright on this team? But saying that, I don't know if we would have got Charlie Jones. Yeah, I guess.
That's interesting.
Would you rather have Milton Wright or Charlie Jones on the team?
Well, I think that's interesting. I think Jones was looking for an opportunity either way. I don't know. I don't. I mean, it's your show. You're doing a good job. I don't blankly disagree with you, but I think that I think Jones still would have come.
Yeah, possibly. I think the scholarships would have been tight. I know. Because apparently we were actually, going after that guy that went to Nebraska, Washington from Texas pretty hard. And then the Jones thing got leaked out, and that's why Tom said, "Oh, we're not going to take him now. We're talking about Washington," and that was the reason why. But who knows? You never know. Things may have. I'm always a Pistons fan, so it's kind of, they always say Detroit Pistons fan, and they always said, if Detroit would have, drafted Carmelo instead of, Milicic, how many, championships would they won? Well, could have been 0 because we probably never would have got Rasheed Wallace in a trade. So you just never know. But Milton Wright on this team. Yeah, I mean, he's kind of the missing, if we had him on the outside, we'd be, with Maccabee at running back, we would be, and Garrett Miller still a tight end, that would be a hell of an offense.
Well, yeah, no, and Miller, don't even get me started on how sad reading that video for his offense. No, but the other sad thing about Wright was, he got his recruiting ranking based on, being a defender or just being an athlete. So he spent 2.5 years turning him from a pretty raw player into the player he became those last 6 games, and to only get those last 6 games out of him, that's got to sting.
No, that was, man. That was, he had some dropsy problems early on that he really stepped up, and then, kind of this time of the year, actually, I guess at some point last year, kind of almost a year ago, and he just took off, and having him out, just, man. Tough.
So, I know I've been kind of surprised by how negative the site's gotten as we've gone to 5-2, especially how they run the defense. I don't know. I guess as we play this game, I might have whatever my expectations are going to be for, let's say, our offense. And let's say I think our offense is going to get 400 yards. Well, if we win the game and our offense gets 280 yards, but Wisconsin's only gets 220 yards, then to me, I'm not going to be sitting there later like our offense played so bad. It's kind of the game it is. I thought Whipple, you'll see a Big Ten team go up 7, right? And then the road team might come back and try to chip away on offense and get 7 back. Whipple's bad to was just like, hey, we're down 7. Hey, on the first or second play, we're going to throw a bomb. I haven't seen a lot of Purdue or Purdue opponents just say, hey, we're down 7 with 9 minutes left in the quarter. Let's air out 60-yarders like all day till we hit one.
Yeah, and hopefully, again, when you look at the schedule, you don't really see Mertz, a quarterback on the opposing team that can maybe do that with a receiver combination. I mean, Mertz, though, again, Mertz has talent. He just I don't know if it's in between the ears, maybe it's not all there, but he's capable. I mean, do I think it's going to happen? No, but I could see Mertz, having a big game against Purdue for some stupid reason.
Yeah, on the site, the offenses we're going to face, I don't think any of them remaining are in the top 50s even. They're all like 60 or below. I just don't think that we're going to face that kind of a team again. If anybody's ever looking for me to admit that I'm wrong, I would say I was wrong with Thompson. I didn't think he had that in him, but I just think Mickey Joseph was got the twins. He wants the job. They were tied for first. They were going down, and I think that we had a wounded dog, trapped in the corner that was just ready to fight.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I said it earlier. I'm going to be a big Nebraska fan here in 2 weeks against the Illini. I really hope they can come out and win that game.
Yeah, that game still would have to beat Illinois.
Yeah.
Because unless Illinois lost another one. So if we lose to Illinois, they'd have to lose another one, even if they do, right, for us to get the tie break.
Yeah, of course, Illinois got to go to Michigan. That's pretty much a guaranteed loss.
Oh, okay.
I keep forgetting that as well. I thought they had it pretty much easy road all the way, but I forgot that's kind of the nice thing. Everybody but has an automatic loss built in pretty much with Illinois, Michigan, and Iowa at Ohio State. But hey, I got somebody else looking to jump on board.
Yeah, no.
I appreciate you.
Hey, great job, man.
On, yep, thanks, man. I think we got Michael. Hey, Michael, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're a little quiet.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're still a little quiet.
All right, I wouldn't be long. But how much do you think Aiden's missing Brock Thompson?
I think missing Brock Thompson definitely. I think quite a bit. Mm-hmm. I think he would have been a guy that I think. I don't know if he's a burn. I don't know if I'd call Brock Thompson a burner, but probably compared to the rest of the receiving corps, he might be one of the fully healthy. He might be one of our faster guys.
Yeah, and I think you were saying something about if Milton Wright was still here, Charlie. Regardless, even if Milton Wright was still going to be here, Charlie Jones was still going to be at Purdue.
It could be. Very well could be, man. This offense with Jones and Milton Wright, and then Garrett Miller and Payne Durham would have been a lot of fun to watch. And Maccabee at running back.
Yeah, especially with Drew and stuff. And I'm sure he'll be back some. My thing I'm trying to figure out is this: do you not worry about Allen and try to focus more on Mertz, or not worry about Mertz and focus more on Allen Saturday?
Yeah, that's a great comment. I saw your comment in the comment section. I meant to pin it. I don't know. I think you probably try to stop Allen, but again, Mertz is so hot and cold. You almost have to kind of see how it goes and see what kind of Mertz you're getting, because Mertz has had a few games in his career where he's been really on, but most of the games he's really, really bad. And again, against Michigan State, who is like the worst pass defense in the country, definitely in the Big Ten. They threw for like 125 yards. That's it.
Yeah, and in the Northwestern game, he threw for what, 400? And 5 touchdowns?
Yeah, 5 touchdowns at least. I don't know how many yards, but yeah, he was looking at the highlights. But again, the guys he were throwing to were wide open. Wide open.
Mm-hmm. Another thing too, I think with the front seven for Purdue, I think they can get some. I'm sure they'll get to Mertz with no issue. But I think with the run defense, even though they did give up over 100 yards, 60 of them came on the one run, and yeah. I don't really criticize it, but there was 2 holes they missed on the long run there when Nebraska scored to make it a 6-point game again. There was 2 holds that they actually missed, but I digress. But I think the run defense will be do a good job on stuff with Bryson Allen too.
Yeah, I agree. They did a pretty good job last year, all things considering, except that one long run he broke when he was on our own 2-yard line. He broke it for like 70 yards or something like that. But
yeah,
I mean, so far they've been tested and they've passed every test with flying colors. The run defense.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, the game I'm interested in, I don't not necessarily worry about it. It's just I think with the Illinois game, I'd rather take care of business themselves and have to get help. That's just me.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Because, as Purdue fans, we know that never goes our way.
Yeah, that's true. No, other than that, right now, if as it shapes up right now, Purdue runs the table, goes 10-2, and finishes maybe 10-3, or maybe somehow wins the Big Ten championship. Where do you see them going for their bowl game right now?
That's I actually that thought actually ran across my head on my drive to Omaha the last couple of days, but I was thinking, I mean, if Michigan and Ohio State theoretically, if they go undefeated and they play each other,
well, one's got to lose.
Yeah, one's got to lose, so one's going to the Big Ten championship game. But I mean, where I was going at that is it possible that Ohio State and Michigan with one loss each, or no, excuse me, Ohio State probably. Let's just say Ohio State wins. Ohio State's undefeated. Michigan has one loss. Would that be enough for Michigan to get into the playoff with Ohio State? Because if that were to happen, yeah.
It just depends if there's any other undefeated teams. If there's 4 undefeated teams, Michigan's not going to get into the playoffs. Or even if there's or if maybe there's a one-loss conference, maybe. But we'll see what happens.
So I guess where I was going with all that is, I wonder if if Purdue does go 10-3, let's say. I mean, is Rose Bowl on the table this year?
I think so, but the thing is, though, I'm not actually sure. I'm not sure because maybe third lines, but I guess they go by the rankings and stuff like that. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I know sometimes it's part of the college football playoffs. I wasn't sure if this year was on its own or not.
Yeah, but the thing I'm trying to figure out is when does the first college football playoff poll come out?
That's a great question. I think it's got to be somewhat soon.
I'm not sure if it's the next week or if it's actually on November 1st.
And let me Google it.
I don't know.
November. So here it is, November 1st.
Okay. Yeah, no, but
so that is.
I think Penn State will even itself out and stuff like that with Ohio State coming up here too. And I wonder if quite possibly they can end up with third loss before the end of the season.
Yeah, I can see it. I mean,
But
Penn State. I think they have a quarterback issue. I think. I don't think. I'm drawing a complete blank on his name. I don't think he's the guy.
It's Sean Clifford.
Clifford, thank you. Yeah, Jiminy.
Yeah. Yeah, but no. Everybody's thinking Penn State could win this week in the whiteout game, but I don't know. I guess it just depends on how Tanner Morgan. So we'll see what happens, though. But no.
Sounds like Morgan's out.
Oh, concussion.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a broken leg possibly even, but I don't think that's the case. But I would be very, very doubtful that he plays.
Yeah, I got a feeling it's going to be a lot of heavy doses of Abraham.
Yep.
And if they can do like Michigan did last week, I don't know if Penn State will be able to stop them.
Yeah, it's just a shame that we didn't have Maccabee run with the ones. Otherwise, we probably could have ran it down their throats a little bit. Oh well.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of seen how it was going and stuff like that, But it's like here, you wonder how Brom's going to do it offensively. They're going to try to be more run heavy Saturday to keep Wisconsin off the ball, or do you think it'll be more pass happy?
I think actually, honestly, we'll have a pretty similar game plan like we did against Nebraska, where we come out running come out kind of, throwing short, crossing routes, out routes, stuff like that. And then I guess we'll see how it goes from there. But I would guess we come out with the focus on running, see if we can get anything going.
It was nice to see TJ Sheffield get some action. I mean, some catches the other night too.
Yeah, he's good. TJ's a good player. I think he's shown that he can be a number 2 option.
Yeah, and then with Yassine, and I can't remember who the other wide receiver who's been hurt. At least they're starting to come back, so it's going to help out and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, Elijah Cannon is the guy that's been hurt. That looked pretty promising in 2 plays. It was only 2 plays against Penn State, but the big guy that apparently hurt his knee, and he tried to go, I guess, last week in practice, but he got hurt again. So we might not see him again.
All right. I'm going to let you go. I don't know if you have other people on, but anyway, thanks for letting me be part of the stream.
Hey, thanks for jumping on.
See ya.
Yep, we'll talk to you. All right, guys. So Purdue has 1 game before the rankings come out. So theoretically, we beat Wisconsin. We'll be 5, not 5-2. We'll be 6-2. And I would think we probably would be top 20 in the college football rankings. Hey, if anybody wants to jump on, feel free. The link is in the comment section and the description of the video. If you guys want to talk about Purdue football, or feel free to drop some comments. Actually, Kennedy, I think Purdue was actually ranked 26th. I think they were 25th in some other poll, but the coaches poll and I think the AP poll are 26th, but which actually is kind of a good thing. I'm kind of glad we're not ranked going at Wisconsin. I'd rather be not in the top 25. Take care of business against Wisconsin, get ranked, and not play anybody and stay ranked, and then play Iowa, but. Anyway, if nobody jumps on here in the next probably 7 minutes, we'll go a couple more minutes here. Probably call it a night. But if anybody wants to jump on though and speak their piece about Purdue football, feel free. Or if anybody wants to just have something discussed in the next few minutes, drop a comment and we'll discuss it real quick before we wrap it up. Again, talk about wide receiver room with I said his name earlier and I got it right. Now I can't think of it. Swanowski. So I don't think that's right. Soskowski or something like that. That's not all right either. But anyway, number 29. He looked like a good route runner. Again, I think a guy like that actually runs precise, crisp routes. That Aiden can have an accurate ball to makes a big difference. That allows guys like Charlie Jones and Sheffield to operate and get open. Oh, man, let's see. Again, the ESPN matchup predictor, again, kind of unusual here. It's got Wisconsin as a 57 point, and this is their analytics ESPN Plus insider thingy pick center page. They got Wisconsin as a 57.8 favorite with a 2.5 spread, saying 63% should go pick Wisconsin. I'm not even sure how to read all these analytics, but they got a whole. I'll see. This is saying now they should pick 79% should pick Purdue. I don't know how this works. If somebody knows how the ESPN's pick center works, feel free to talk about that. But this is here's some. So Purdue yards per game 446. Third down conversion rates at 46.2%. Wisconsin's yards per game is 391. Their third down conversion is at 45. So pretty much very, very close. Our points per game is 34. Their points per game is 31.3. They average 4.5 yards per carry. Purdue averages 4. That's hard to believe that we're only a half yard behind them. Pass attempt yards were 7 yards per pass attempt. They're 8.8. So pretty evenly even stats on that one. Oh, we got RG. What's going on, RG?
Hey, man. Can you hear me all right?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect. Had to dance through a couple devices to get that done. Yeah, it was interesting. I happened to catch I guess it was yesterday. I had recorded the broadcast, and then shortly thereafter, the N60 version of our game came on, and I was at the game. I sit in the south end zones, RIP South end zone. So it was interesting just watching DBs look like they just didn't start moving until Palmer was running by him. I mean, I heard you make a comment earlier about you think they'd learn. Apparently they didn't. But it was like Allen on that pass over the middle didn't turn until Palmer was by him. And obviously Allen's probably not expecting safety help over the top, considering that's his role. And then the one down the sideline, Brown, who had shown his speed by catching Palmer on that end around, was like running half speed. He was 10 yards behind him when the ball was going over his head. So I don't know if he thought he had help over the top, and I was trying to see where he was looking. Maybe he thought the ball went the other way and the play was over or something. I don't know, but I think sort of as I look at it, those are correctable. You hope. I mean, that's just guys getting coached up. The thing that impresses me is how much different we're playing up front. I mean, that seems like the project. That's the thing that's taken a while to get to. And the fact that we've made such tremendous strides up there, I don't think you're going to get beat by a Thompson-Palmer combo every weekend. I don't think we have too many of those left on the schedule.
No, that's a good point.
But again, we're going to face some running backs, Chase Brown and obviously Brady Allen this weekend. So, I just love to see us shut down a Wisconsin runner. I think that would be super glamorous. And then maybe gamble with Mertz.
Yeah, that's kind of, I think, probably what I would do is focus on that. And I, to your point too, I guess, if we're in the Big Ten West, I mean, obviously I think we would all prefer to have a shutdown run defense over a shutdown pass defense. Albeit that we're in the West, but which kind of appears as what we have. Going forward. But yeah, I think, Illinois came in and they absolutely trounced Wisconsin, held Allen like a yard rushing. And it's possible this year, but not saying we're going to do that. But, I think Wisconsin's got a little bit of turmoil up there too. I don't think things are all that rosy. So I think they're right.
There was some comment that somebody posted something, article from The Athletic. I don't have a subscription. I didn't read it, and I'm not a big fan of people copying copyrighted stuff. But it does sound like there was probably more damage to correct than just, play calling or scheme. Like it does sound like there was some issues off the field that may have been, bigger. I also think they didn't want to lose Leonard. They were going to take a shot.
I think what you just said, I think, is what it comes down to. I think they knew Jim Leonard was going to be a hot commodity. They didn't want to lose him. Probably some boosters weren't happy. I know they got a new athletic director, right? Or he's only been there for a year or two. I'm sure he got trigger happy and pulled the trigger, and just to see how Jim does. But it's kind of funny. Again, going back to this Wisconsin podcast and all these callers, they all really want Jim Leonard to be the next head coach, but they're getting worried that there's a very good possibility they might only win, if things really go down, rolling down the wrong way, they might only win 1 or 2 games and not make a bowl game. It's like, do you hire him if you go 5-7? And I guess his record would be what, 3-4? I mean, do you hire him or do you go somebody else? That's kind of
I guess it depends if they've kind of looked at it as a sacrificial year. Like we're going to give him a chance to get some dress rehearsal in, and we're more committed to him than what we're going to lead on. I mean, it's another one of these favorite son things. I mean, but you wonder, wasn't Paul Chryst the same? I mean, wasn't he a favorite son guy too? And maybe that's not the formula.
I mean, yeah, careful what you wish for. You
Yeah.
look at Marcus Freeman. I mean, that's a prime example right there.
Yeah.
And Scott Frost. But I think sounds like Leonard, I think, is just pretty much focused on the defense, and he's letting Bobby Ingram just do, the offensive coordinator thing. So I don't know how much say he's got on the offense right now, or how much say he wants to have on the offense. But
yeah, I honestly, I think, like you said, at some point, I'm just looking past a lot of stuff and just trying to get to an end. I'd love to see this. I honestly didn't realize it had been since 2003 since we won there. I was there in 2000 on the block field goal win, but yeah, it's just shocking. I guess it couldn't have been 2000. What would that have been? Whatever it was when we blocked there's the block field goal and they tried to kick.
Oh yeah, was that 2001?
It must have been 2001 because if we won
I can't remember.
Yeah,
I remember we've had some not so good Purdue teams actually go up to Wisconsin and give them a game a couple times and nearly sneak it out. But
there was the game where I think Breeze threw for 102 passes. Christine, it wasn't really 102, but it was like 60 passes, and Daniel set receiving record or whatever it was.
When's the last time an actual good Purdue football team has been up there? It's been a long time, I think, too. We haven't really had great teams go up there. This is probably the best team we've had go up there in 20 years.
It's been a long time since we've had a good team. So
well, that's true too. Yeah.
But it seemed, and now you say that, it makes me think, because when I was a freshman, we had a chance to lock up. This is 84, Everett's year, right? Everett's year. We have a chance to lock up the Rose Bowl, and Wisconsin wasn't, king killer. I mean, they weren't the Wisconsin we think of now. And we end up losing that game. I think we, ended up in a multi-way tie or whatever it was. But I think it was just one of those games where we expected to win. Maybe it was 84. It must have been well, it was like whatever it was, the 84, 85, whatever year we went up there, and ended up not winning. So that was kind of the end of that regime. So shortly thereafter. But I don't know. Maybe it's just one of those places. We've kind of shaken off Iowa over the course of the last couple of years, and hopefully can keep that going. Maybe turn the corner on Wisconsin this year.
We did the Minnesota bug. We got that off our backs.
So. Yeah, that was a good one too. It's funny. I've been listening. I listened to a lot of Big Ten radio on XM, and they've just been. I commented on this on the website on KHC that every game we've gone into the last few weeks, this will be the first break we've gotten where the media that I listen to, obviously the Big Ten media, wasn't picking the team we were playing as the West favorite. It was, or even Maryland. Maryland was like a dark horse East favorite.
Yeah, no, yeah.
So, it was like, Minnesota's walking away with the West. Then, Maryland was like the darling. And then, now it's Illinois. I've listened to nothing but Illinois.
No, it's all, yeah. I'm not, I just don't know how sold I am on Illinois. But
again, if you look at who they beat Wisconsin, great. Or, the reason I said that was because their trifecta was they beat Iowa, Minnesota, and at Wisconsin. They haven't done that in forever. Yeah. So we have
credit to them. They're definitely a good team.
You're playing the team you're playing, but it's not like these teams are, above 500 in some cases. So, I don't know that they've played their best, but I don't know if they've seen a best yet. So hopefully, we keep things going and we make that a meaningful game in Champaign, which that in and of itself was also a thing we would have said in the last few years.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. Yeah, I think we all figured Illinois was going to be pretty bad. I think even Brett Bielema thought that based off some of his comments. But so you think, what do you think? So you predicting win on Saturday?
It's like you said, it's darn hard to don't you have that jinx feeling? It's like if I do this, it's.
I don't even want to give a prediction, to be honest with you.
No, I know. I will watch the game, and I'll live it and breathe it. But it's hard for me to go out on a limb. I want it to be a win. I want to see him turn around, keep this train going.
I think I think I'm trying. I'm not even give a prediction, but I think I'll almost wrap up with this. Is I think that Wisconsin is definitely ripe for the taking, and
Yep.
I like our chances.
I do, and those are the very things that always scare the crap out
Yeah,
of me.
yeah. As Purdue fans, and you sounds like you've been a Purdue fan longer than I have. It's
Yeah.
it's hard for us to have nice things. This is
It
almost
is.
setting up. But that's what's weird is this season we've been playing with dynamite every game, and
Yep,
we
absolutely.
somehow have only been burnt twice, which is insane.
Yeah. But we've been, flirting with it on both sides. I mean, like we could be the absolute reverse of this record with a couple of balls bouncing a different way.
Yeah, I mean, we could be legit 7-0. We could legit be 2-5.
Yeah. As Jeff Braun said, you're getting your money's worth. Come out and enjoy a 4-quarter game.
You could tell he's frustrated with it. He's like, good God,
Yes.
can we not beat?
He kind of let his guard down as much as I've heard in both the press conference and the post game this week. Like, because he's normally so guarded, just doesn't give up anything.
He's pretty loose. Yeah, he's pretty loose this year, it seems like.
He was laughing to himself about the fact that, we got some work to do. But yeah, the comment in the post game about, come get 4 quarters worth was was right on.
Yeah, you can tell he's frustrated but happy at the same time.
Yeah.
But
all right, man. Well, hey, thanks for doing this.
I
watched the last couple of weeks and thought
I appreciate it. It's
not
not the most glamorous thing, but hey, I think it's kind of fun.
It's but we're all looking for outlets, right? I mean, there's not tons of opportunity to talk about Purdue stuff very often, and so I appreciate you committing to it.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for jumping on.
Yep. Thanks, man. Have a good night.
Yeah, Patrick says best. Purdue's 1 minute away from 7-0. Again, though, I think we're also, a couple minutes away from being 2-5, but or a thrower here or there. But anyway, with that, guys, I think we've almost gone 2 hours now. It's about 9:40 local time. I'm going to wrap it up. Appreciate you guys. Again, no prediction this week. I don't even want to jinx it. I do Wisconsin, I think, is ripe for the taking. I think this is a game Purdue probably should win. But, will they win? I guess we'll find out Saturday. So this would be great, though. If we could get this win and get into that bye week, which we desperately need to get to the bye week just to heal up, getting a win would be perfection. Anyway, with that, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Boiler up. God bless, and we will see you next time. Adios.